Welcome to the second season of the Dr. Ramsey Show. Our intention is to deliver educational content and useful information on holistic health and our clinic, Revitalize Functional Medicine. To stay up to date with our weekly episodes, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Enjoy the show.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dr. Ramsey Show. Today's a multifaceted show. I have a very long-term, one of my favorite patients of all time, who's with us today to talk about her family's health and how it's evolved over the years. So I want to welcome Lori Warhop to the show today. Hi, Lori. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Teresa.
Really good. And we've had such history together, right?
Yes, we have.
We go way back. And I know you don't live here now, but we continue care over the phone.
Yes.
Okay. So there's several topics, and I think today's show is going to be eye-opening for quite a lot of people. And I think a lot of people might relate to a lot of the things we're going to talk about today. And the first thing I want to talk about is Jacob, right? Your son, who established care in 1998. Right. That's how far we go back.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yes.
And I don't remember his symptoms, but I remember the diagnosis was an allergy.
Right. So, my husband works in the NFL, and we had just moved from St. Louis to Phoenix.
Right.
And he was just probably around 1 year old, and he was just always fussy. Had kind of an upset stomach. He was gassy, just an unhappy feeling always around with him.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's tough when your kid's like that.
Right. And he was little, and he has such a great disposition as a person. So I didn't have an established pediatrician, and I had taken him to one, and she said, oh, just give him Mylicon drops, and that should help. So I did that. It helped for about 2 seconds, and
Right.
I took him back, and they said, well, that's really all we can do. So I went to and got a second opinion, same thing. And then I can't remember the person who referred me to you. And she said, there's an alternative health doctor in Scottsdale. Why don't you try her? And I thought, okay. So I made an appointment. I brought Jacob up to Scottsdale, and we went over his symptoms. And I distinctly remember you telling me, I think he has intolerance to dairy.
Right.
And I said, what? That's kind of weird. Now, I think this is 23 years ago, right?
No, but that's true. Most people say I eat food. Why would I be allergic to it? Right. No, exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I distinctly remember you explaining to me, think about it this way: when a dairy cow has a calf, that calf weighs 75 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So the milk protein has to be this big for the 75-pound calf.
Right.
And think of a goat, when they have a baby goat, the baby is more in line with the weight of a human baby, 6 or 7 pounds. So the milk protein is smaller. And I thought,
easier to digest. Yes.
Right. Easier to digest. So I thought, okay, I'll take him off dairy. That's an easy try. And 2 days later, he was the happiest kid on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
That's
thought,
such a great sentiment to what I say to a lot of people. And I think it goes in one ear and out the other. Sometimes that food is our first medicine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So at that point, I thought, okay, I want to know what you know to help me care for my family, because it just made so much sense. And it was so simple.
Yeah,
it was a simple solution. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And you like the goat milk, right? When you give them to young enough, they like it.
Yeah, he was young enough. Olivia, she was about they're a year and a half apart, and she really didn't take to it, but that was okay. We had other options, right? You've got milk, rice milk, almond milk, soy milk, so many options. Yeah.
I remember when I weaned my kids, I put them on goat milk from breast milk, and I accidentally put it in my coffee, and I nearly threw up. I'm like, how do they drink this? But I love goat cheese, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Jacob now is what age?
He is 24.
24 years old, healthy young man.
24.
Yeah.
Healthy, happy.
Right. Beautiful.
Lives in Chicago. Right.
Yeah. So then we talk about lovely Olivia, your daughter.
Yes.
What was it? I have 12 years ago. She was diagnosed.
Correct.
Am I right?
Yeah.
She was diagnosed. Do you want to say it?
Sure. So
the bone cancer.
we were, to make a a difficult situation even worse. We were in the process of moving from San Francisco to Cleveland. So we had just learned that she was having pain in her lower leg, and we were in the process of moving. So I thought, do we get it checked out? She had just finished the soccer season. Do we get it checked out or wait until we move to Cleveland to sort it out? And my husband, George, said, you know what, let's just get it checked out so we don't have to worry about anything and you can move. So
yeah,
he called the trainer with the team and they got us right in, and they found a tumor in her tibia. And she ended up having, they diagnosed her with myofibrosarcoma.
I wasn't sure the name.
Which is
myofibrosarcoma.
Myofibrosarcoma. So
which is a bone cancer, right? Bone cancer.
Yes. Yeah. So after multiple opinions, so we could get an agreed upon diagnosis, but we couldn't get an agreed upon treatment. And one doctor had said we needed to do pre and post chemotherapy and radiation, plus a complete tibia reconstruction.
Yeah.
And I said, have you ever had another case of this very rare myofibrosarcoma? And he said, I found one case, which was a secondary cancer caused by chemotherapy.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that. Right.
Yes.
So the type of cancer she has been seen only as a secondary cancer and metastatic cancer.
A secondary cancer caused by the chemotherapy to treat the first cancer.
Caused by the drug, right?
Correct. So I thought, this is madness. This makes no sense.
Yeah.
So George and I talked about it. And, this is, once we started seeing you, we made your health philosophy our lifestyle.
Oh.
So, no, truly. So we really watched our diet. We watched the amount of sugar we consumed. We talked about balance in our life. I think one of the things that you taught me the most was we take a comprehensive approach to health, which is not just your physiology. It's your mental state, it's your emotions, it's your thoughts, it's your friendships, it's everything.
Right.
So that is how we have lived our life up until this point. So when we go into the cancer realm and allopathic medicine in cancer, the language and the conversation is completely different. And you're really given just three options. It's drugs, radiation, and surgery.
That's right.
And there's no conversation around nutrition. I had an oncologist tell me that, well, if you do chemotherapy, you really don't have any kind of an appetite, so you can eat Taco Bell as much ice cream.
Gets worse. Right.
Right, and as much ice cream as you want. And I'm like,
well, we're giving you these chemicals. You might as well put chemicals in your mouth. Is that maybe what they're saying?
Right. And I thought, we don't live like that now. Why would, when my child is trying to heal, we would not support her with healthy nutrition?
Right.
So the difficulty, if it could be any more difficult, came into play when we said, well, we're going to decline the chemotherapy and radiation. And I had this oncologist, I will not name her name.
Right.
But she said, well, you're lucky, because if your daughter had osteosarcoma, I would mandate the treatment.
So if she had a different type of cancer, they would mandate it. With her cancer, they're not mandating it.
Right. Because
it could be a side effect of the chemotherapy.
Right. Yeah. But I said to her, what do you mean? I don't understand what you mean by that. And she said, well, we could take you to court and take away your parental rights and mandate the chemotherapy and the radiation.
If she had the other type.
So I thought, the phrase, when you feel the blood drain from your body, is real. It's real. So I just said, okay, I'll talk to George about that. And then I got on the computer And I thought, can they really do this? And I found story after story of parents who have had their rights taken away, and the medical community will mandate care. And I found a mother in Boston who had her phone number listed, and I picked up the phone and called her. And I said, "You don't know me?" Said, "I read your story. Is this true?" And she said, "Absolutely." And I thought, oh my God, what am I dealing with?
Heartbreaking for parents.
Right? And I thought, my experience in healthcare with you it's been a partnership, right? You go to someone to be a partner in the healing or your healthcare. And this suddenly didn't look like a partnership.
Right. Yeah.
So, so my husband's working crazy hours. Now we're at the Browns. We're in Cleveland.
And you're traveling because of his career. Yes.
So we're in a new town. We don't know anybody. He's working, multiple hours a day. And, I share this information with him, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. He's like, they're trying to bully us into a choice. And I'm like, bully? I mean, it's so, there's such a disconnect there, because
that's not in the oath. Must bully my patients into doing what I think is best.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. And so then when you realize you're kind of being bullied, my whole demeanor changed, because I don't like being bullied. So I have a friend who I met in Phoenix who had a situation where she had to, get an attorney for a medical malpractice case with her husband. And her father teaches law, and he found the most badass medical malpractice attorney in the state of Texas. And I said, "Shelley, will your guy represent me?" And she said, "Let me check." And he said, "Absolutely." So
legal advice to get the diagnosis your daughter has. This is so bizarre, Lori.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I called her back and I said, listen, we're not okay with that. And if you want to take us to court, that's fine, but we'll be countersuing you, because that's not right. And she said, "Oh, there must be a misunderstanding." And I said, "Oh, no, I heard you loud and clear." Right. So we parted ways with that oncologist. And because there wasn't any kind of a history or that many case studies of this particular type of cancer, there was really no position for the hospital to take but to respect our choice.
God bless.
Yes, thank God. So she ended up having a tibia reconstruction, and then you and I went to work on the
her immune system.
Right, her immune system, and they didn't check her vitamin D levels, but you had us check her vitamin D levels, and they were a 19.
I know, so not protected.
Remember,
bones depend on vitamin D.
Absolutely. Right. So we jacked up her vitamin D. We changed her diet. We eliminated all sugar. It was pretty restrictive in the beginning, just because we had to really get a handle on the terrain of her body, as you taught us. And then we also addressed, you said, "What do you think the emotional piece of this is for Olivia?"
Right.
And I said, "What do you mean by that?" And you said, "We've got to figure out what the emotional piece is." So you had recommended a book. And I have since found several others that discuss the emotional part of your body. Oh, absolutely. Yes, that's it.
You can heal your life. Yeah, from the emotional perspective.
Yes. So what is the emotion attached to that physical manifestation in your body? And when you go to that particular book and you look at the leg, it has a subset for the lower leg. And it says, I don't remember precisely.
I wrote it down. I thought I did. I did. Give me a second. Unhealed emotions, known or unknown, lead to disease, period. That's just a general statement. For her, it had to do with moving forward in life because of the travel that your husband does for his work. And moving. Yeah.
Right. So lower leg, it says lower leg, fear of the future, not wanting to move.
There you go.
And when George and I read that, we were like, oh my gosh. Right. That is not coincidental. We have to take this piece seriously because this is her health we're talking about.
That's exactly right.
Right. So we decided at that point that, George would try, his business is very finicky. And the life is very unstable. So we decided at that point that if there was a coaching change, he would try and do whatever he could to stay with the Browns. So he was able to stay with the Browns for 5 years under 3 different head coaches. And so we're all together and we didn't move the kids.
God bless. I mean, look at all these blessings. Yes.
Right. Well, the choices, right?
True. You created your own blessings by the choices you made.
Correct. So he ended up, let me think, over probably the 5 years that we were in Cleveland, she had 4 surgeries and then 1 more when he went to Tampa. So
5 total.
So 5 total. Yeah. But however, the good news is this child is happy and healthy and thriving in life.
And vibrant as heck.
And absolutely.
I want you to send a picture to me so Walker can put it so that people can see this beautiful girl who healed from bone cancer completely naturally except for surgery. Like you didn't do chemotherapy, you didn't do radiation, you did vitamin D, you did nutrition, you did ozone. I think you did hyperbaric.
Yeah, we didn't do ozone, but we did do hyperbaric and we did do homeopathy.
Homeopathy, emotional release patterning. Yeah.
And the emotional piece of it too.
And she's 100% cured.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that was 12 years ago. And, I remember she had 1 more visit with her surgeon before she went off to college. And he just said, honey, you're one of the lucky ones. We usually don't have this good of an outcome. And I just thought, I wish we could have a real conversation about it.
Right. Because they didn't really want to know how she healed completely. Like they didn't even ask you. Am I right? Like, what do you do?
Well, I wasn't this guy's favorite person. So because I asked a lot of questions and things had to make sense to me because I had to explain them to a 13-year-old. Right. So, and it was really quite a contrast to how we kind of lived a healthy life. So, when you had recommended to us, let's do the hyperbaric because her tibia was so small at 13 and you don't have a lot of soft tissue around the tibia. So there's not a lot of blood that goes to that area. So when they did her surgery, they had to remove part of her tibia and replace it with a donor bone. So she was able to get a union at the top of the tibia, but not at the bottom. So two of her additional surgeries were bone grafts to help try and connect that lower part of the bone. And we had the success when we started doing the hyperbaric.
Yeah. And this is for everyone, like our bones have such low oxygen blood flow to them, period. Like the lowest below flood is bones. And so when, like if we have a break or something that needs to be healed, there's nothing better than hyperbaric oxygen.
Right.
There's nothing better because you bring oxygen, now it can heal. Without oxygen, we can't heal.
Right.
You are such a courageous woman, a courageous mother, courageous wife. You stay by George's side wherever he has to go. You're raising beautiful, healthy children. You're making decisions that are very difficult. They're not easy. And you're being fought in the medical community instead of being supported. And yet here's your daughter.
Right.
100%.
And I wish there was more of a, what I found to be really interesting was when we went through that with her, our conversations were around how can we cooperate with the body, right?
Yeah.
So that is missing in American medicine. How do we cooperate with the body?
So functional medicine is all about homeostasis, like the whole body, mind, spirit, soul.
Right.
If you're a cardiologist, you think about the heart. You don't think about the food they ate, inactivity, diabetes. All you're focusing on is fixing that heart. Same thing with any type of medicine. Really, it has a specialty. It's unfortunate. People need someone there for them if they don't know what questions to ask.
Right, but I think that's okay too. I think
Sure.
when you have that specialty, you can really, really help someone who
Sure.
is in a really bad situation. But I think we need to have a little bit better balance.
Right. I mean, because for me, like as my specialty now is hormone replacement, I can't do a lot of other stuff like I used to be really, really good at it. I
Right.
mean, I met you at a time where I was doing family care.
Right.
So you're right. I mean, specialists are there, but how do we integrate the whole system?
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I congratulate you on the success of a very healthy family.
Well, you had a lot to do with that. So I thank you so much. You helped me save
Yeah.
that child's life. Right.
God bless. Yeah. That just touches my heart.
Yeah.
Thank you for trusting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
Well, it
think
makes
go ahead.
no, just the philosophy makes sense. I mean, we have to, when I think one of the other books that I ran across in the course of all of this is, your body speaks your mind, right?
Was it the biology of belief?
Right. The biology of belief
Bruce
is
Lipton?
one.
This keeps
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah.
His work is
Right.
getting so much recognition right now.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
So I think that we can learn from all of those people
Right.
and
We have so many
integrate them
teachers.
into absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're in a place where I think the one gift that I've been able to give my kids is the awareness to pay attention to their body and always focus on the balance in their life, whether it's with healthy friendships, a healthy work-life balance, healthy food, going outside, not sitting behind a screen all day.
Right.
So I
Right.
think those are the really key important elements to a healthy life.
Yeah. Basic
And
things we sacrifice for the busy lives we live, but
right,
the
right.
mindfulness needs to remain there, whether we're able to do it
Absolutely.
100% or not.
Absolutely.
Right. It's just the understanding and appreciation of that, the gift of nature.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you,
Right.
Lori. I'm really grateful you were willing to share your stories so that other parents who are put in a situation like you won't feel alone. Because like you said, you reached out and you found people to talk to. And, what I want to say is, we never want to give up our medical freedom, especially when it comes to choices for our children, choices for ourselves, is we want to make sure that we're asking the right questions. And we may not get them answered the first time, but stay persistent. Like Lori, you had to be so persistent as you were traveling, getting new doctors and all of that. You had to stay so persistent in your rights. And as a result, we have this amazing outcome.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think too, it's, I appreciate the doctors who can be honest and say, I don't have that answer.
Right. Right.
But let me find it for you. Right. So,
That's the
and that's
best.
okay. And I don't know why that's not okay.
Yeah, it is okay to say, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I say it a lot.
Right.
But
Exactly.
I know what I know and I know what I don't know.
Right. Right. Because I remember, going back again in history, you put our whole family on the Eat Right for Your Blood type diet.
Yes.
So my husband and daughter are type O's.
I still believe in that.
I do too. And my son and I are both A's. And it's incredible how they function in life, how he and I function in life.
Yeah.
What foods they can eat that the two of us really can't.
Because our
And
DNA is all different. Yep.
right. And you just find what works for you. So
yeah. So many great things.
so many great things.
Yeah. And we've shared so much for people to, take home and to digest and, to go into yourselves. We've brought up Bruce Lipton so many times on this show so far, the power of belief, which is our mind is more important than anything else in our body. So thank you for listening to today's show. Thank you for getting to know Lori with me. And if you have any more questions, just reach out to me and we'll get them answered by Lori if you have them. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.